To more casual or even long-term Mario fans, it may come as a surprise that Super Mario Odyssey is in fact the 5th time Bowser has attempted to marry a non-consenting Princess Peach. It's a welcomed effort to enhance the simple premise of her kidnapping, which usually doesn't have an outlying purpose. The RPGs hint at his being in love with her, while in the earlier games it seemed to be more about conquering the kingdom than anything else. Whatever the reason, Odyssey gives Bowser more drive than ever this time. He wants Peach to be his bride and will stop at nothing to throw the most extravagant wedding the world's ever seen. But before delving into this new game, let's discuss the 3 lesser known instances of weddings in the series' history, between Peach and Bowser that is. The very first attempt by the King of Koopas is from Super Mario Bros. Pīchi-hime Kaioshitsu Daisakusen, translating roughly to the Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach. It was released by Grouper Studios all the way back in 1986 for Japan only, a film preceding even the live-action American Super Mario Bros. Plumbers. This feature is an anime that sees Mario freeing Peach from the clutches of an interesting take on Bowser. He's more whiny than anything, but wants nothing more than his future wife to be happy. The Beast tries to marry her in his tower in front of the entire Koopa clan, but strangely he doesn't threaten her to say, "I do." He just kind of hopes it will happen. Regardless, he gets to fitting the oversized ring around her wrist before the day is saved by the Triforce. Not kidding, at least the Mushroom Kingdom version of one. Look, it even marks a potential inspiration for the tail swinging maneuver from Mario 64. Getting back on track, the second instance of a fraudulent ceremony is from episode 19 of the Super Mario Bros. Super Show. In Do You, Princess Toadstool, Take This Koopa, Mario and Luigi are shown to be captured right away, and the people of the Mushroom Kingdom have all been turned to stone. In an effort to free her subjects, the princess actually agrees to a marriage proposal by the regal reptile. I knew I was irresistible. Planning commences to a cover of Billy Idol's White Wedding, while Mauser, boss from Super Mario Bros. 2, stitches together a jacket for his king. Koopa's mother even makes an appearance to scold and force him to go sit in a corner for 6 days. The plumbers free themselves and arrive just in time again, using firepower to best the guests and the minister, who is just Hizzo with a Bible in its mouth. Moving away from animation, we have the physical Super Mario Adventures, a comic series written by Kentaro Takikuma, initially serialized in 1992 for Nintendo Power magazine. The plot revolves around Bowser stealing away a very driven and capable representation of Peach to be a mother for his Koopalings, ordering a monstrous cake from his henchmen and utilizing a Magic Koopa hypnotist to set the princess in a trance. Bowser actually has a plan to combat her refusal, and was that much closer to exchanging vows. And he even remembered to dress for the occasion this time. With that said, it really is scary imagining being spellbound and abiding by the caster, but Super Paper Mario ups this concept a notch by magic force to make her say "I do." This is more fearful because she's aware and saying the words against her will, not in a subconscious daze. In this game, Bowser doesn't go out of his way to try and marry Peach again. They're simply pawns this time around to the main antagonist's plans, formation of an entity known as the Chaos Heart. According to a prophetic book known as the Dark Prognosticus, it is the union of a furious monster king and a fair and lovely princess that will summon an apocalyptic void that will consume all of existence. Keep in mind that this occurs at the very beginning of the game. In the earlier examples, the physical wedding took place at the end of the story and was able to be halted soon after it began. However, here the event was actually successful and sets up the game's plot, rather than being the main draw of the narrative. The princess shrugs this ordeal off later as a sham, but it was valid enough to bind the two at the time and form the reason they were wed in the first place. So, after seeing what happens when the unthinkable is achieved, we're finally led into Odyssey, the newest 3D iteration. Bowser tries for the first time since the early 90s to marry her under his own planning. Though this time you really have to respect the big guy. The Great Demon schemes an elaborate plot involving the Broodals, a wedding planning firm that'll fight to ensure this faulty hitch is a success. He's no longer content with the standard wedding anymore either. As stated before, he's got to have the biggest and grandest celebration there ever was and ever will be, stealing away all major landmarks from the kingdoms across Odyssey's globe. Travel to Greater Tostarena, where an enraged guardian grieves over the Sand Kingdom's stolen ring. Journey to the Russian-inspired Shiveria to learn of the Snow Kingdom's missing frost cake. If you couldn't tell already, these are Bowser's stops because each location houses the best possible items for a perfect wedding. The Wooded Kingdom, as another example, is world-renowned for its plant breeding, specifically the growing of their famous Soray bouquet. Knowing this, Bowser then storms the Steam Gardens in order to snatch flowers for his unlucky bride. The entire game is thematically entwined with this prospect of marriage, and is so over the top to the point where the venue is, pausing for spoilers, on the literal moon. Which, off topic, makes me think. In Super Mario Odyssey you collect power moons, in Mario 64 it's stars, and in Sunshine it's suns. So, if Odyssey's final boss has setting on the moon, and in 64 it's on a star-shaped platform, why doesn't Sunshine's last encounter take place on the sun? Anyway, this wedding blows the others out of the water, but before I end the video, here's some fun facts comparing them all. For one, the Piranha Plant Bouquet is not unique to this game, and in fact makes a return from Super Mario Adventures, which is also the first of 3 instances that Bowser dresses in a white tuxedo for his big day. Super Mario Adventures seems to also be tied with Super Paper Mario for most attendees at his wedding, considering just how much of the Koopa army we see making an appearance at both events. His followers aren't even invited in Odyssey, which makes me question how their loyalty remains intact. To be fair though, it is a much more difficult destination to arrive at. Can't afford the employee travel costs, but a fair amount of his minions are already there. Funnily enough, both the Super Show and Odyssey have the weakest audience in terms of numbers, even if this crowd is the most diverse. It's a little more pathetic when considering, as we can assume most of them were probably kidnapped along with the princess anyway. Thank you all for watching. I'm super passionate about this series, especially as of recent, and Odyssey's borrowing from all different kinds of places, and I thought this was neat to look at. This is currently a break from the Dark Aspect series I'm doing on the Paper Mario series. I kind of split this video off from my Super Paper Mario review because the whole wedding sequence was relevant and I wanted to talk about that. So again, hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you didn't, and I'll see you for the next one.